Go.
Streaming from South Africa to the world. This is the Stonks Go Moon podcast. What just happened? We break it down so you don't have to.
Welcome everyone to the Stonks Go Moon podcast. My guest today, Dusica Lukac from DL Capital Partners. How are you?
Excellent, Rocco. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited.
That's awesome. I love your energy. Let's get right into the hot button issue.
Yes.
I want to ask you, why are there so few women in finance? And what are your thoughts about Deutsche Bank? I mean, recently they raised the female employment targets to 50%. I think it's a bit ambitious, to be quite honest. And maybe my statement is a bit generalizing, but I want to get your thoughts on the subject.
Yeah. But let me tell you something. I actually worked in finance. I'm super old. I worked in 90s, where female were really, really rare. Particularly representation on the board, on higher echelons of management. It was almost non-existent. We had just a couple of role models. So I'm mentioning this because I wanted to say it's a part of the legacy system. People always forget that until the mid-20th century, I mean, girls were not even going to the university. How can you hold a position in finance if you don't have a university degree? So I believe that it is changing rapidly. And I think that in next 10 years, we will be seeing a total change. If you ask me, I was always dreaming about the day when we will not be even talking about it, which gender we are, race, or whatever color of eyes, that we will be focusing that we would be forgetting that and would be focusing just the person is doing the job or it's not doing the job. And I think we are going into that direction. I understand that we have to go through the awareness period because I hit glass ceilings so many times in my career. And I smashed some, but I didn't smash some. So it was not, it's not an easy path. And I'll be very honest, it's going to change. Deutsche Bank announced, well, first of all, there is a trick. The pool of female talent in financial services is much deeper than in some other industries. So unless you have a very solid pool of a talent of certain education, certain profiles, certain references, you wouldn't be able to even have ambitious targets. So I think that because Deutsche Bank is a listed company, if you would take on board someone just because it's a female that doesn't know how to do the job, I mean, performance would actually die next quarter. You will kill your company. So you really have to focus on getting the talent of certain quality or nurturing talent of certain quality. I think that 50% target is a combination of both. I think that they will be investing in the younger workforce as well, because you need to nurture the talents, which is good. On the other side, if people cannot perform, they will be off the board. That's normal. I mean, you cannot just continue doing something unless you perform. And that's always something I hear people saying, it's not fair to have someone because it's this or that. They couldn't survive. They can get a chance. And I did get a chance at certain points, in my career, because probably I was exotic, female, like all these things. But if I couldn't perform, I would die on the next quarter. And I survived and thrived. And I think that by giving the chance to the people, I think that's quite important, because before they were not even given chance.
Let's stand still at that point. Actionable advice for someone, let's say female, looking to enter the industry with maybe a time horizon of 10 years. I mean, you've been through it all. You've got the experience. Yes.
I'll be very honest. You know what helped me most in my career and where I managed to smash those glass ceilings that I mentioned that I smashed? I literally didn't notice there's barrier. I think that was the most important thing. I was focused on me and delivering. And I had experience. I was once in a board meeting. I was a person responsible, for credit committee. And there was a risk manager who retired that year. He was not even talking directly to me. He was talking to the person next to me of the right gender. I literally never noticed. I was thinking, what a weird guy. What's wrong with him? I never thought something is wrong with me. I think that's the attitude you need. Literally have to sit within your knowledge and know that if you deliver results and if you deliver a profit, people cannot overlook you. I mean, you can
that's
be
the best
Martian.
advice I think you can give.
Yeah, and that's what helped me. I literally sometimes had to invest more energy and time, but it paid off.
Let's shift gears a bit. Recently, we've seen a slowdown in the SPAC market. I mean, I think it was overdue. Why is this, and why is it important relating to the state of the market as a whole, do you think?
Well, I personally think that slowing down is super healthy. I mean, it's not coming as a surprise to anyone in the space. I mean, first of all, SPAC market is followed by a strong PIPE market. This is private equity investing in public companies. That dry powder dried out. So it was normal because there was enormous amount of SPACs trade. So if you look, for example, SPAC would be followed by 3 or 4 times bigger amount of PIPE capital. That was much more pumped in the market through the PIPE than through the SPAC itself. So as 2020 was the year of SPACing, I think that 2021 is the year of de-SPACing, and it already started. And I think also important thing is that we are seeing a more interesting and healthier structures like Spark. You know that you probably heard about it. There's a special acquisition rights company. So basically, we are going to. I don't think SPACs are somehow going away, or this is something which is.
But basically, SPAC went on a diet, right? So we got lean.
Yes.
And we're ready for summer. Basically, we've got summer body now.
Yeah, exactly. But also people forget that SPAC is not a new instrument. I encountered SPACs first time in 90s, and even then they were not the new instrument. So we are seeing basically an instrument which is going through its normal financial instrument, going through its normal maturing phases, and it's coming to a more stable market. It will capture certain percentage of investors and the audience permanently. With a certain risk appetite, and it will position itself firmly there.
Speaking about capturing market share, something that's been doing that quite ferociously is tokenization. I mean, it's the new buzzword for at least for this year. What are some future trends that you're seeing currently in the market, and how will it possibly affect your current institutions?
Okay, tokenization is the future. There is no doubts about it. There's so many forms of possible tokenization, and we have seen, I think in 2016-17, so-called the rise of the utility token, which basically doesn't have impact on your direct on your capital structure. However, it does impact your revenue structure and your business in general, so it cannot be overlooked. Then we have, of course, payment tokens, which are like famous cryptocurrencies and many other forms of payment, loyalties, etc. And then, of course, we have security tokens. We all know the security tokens are buzzing in the background, and then the market size of security tokens is much, much bigger because it's going to be like a first step towards actual transformation of the markets, because the cryptocurrencies and utility tokens were announcement. If you look in the size of the market, they're kind of a modest comparing to capital markets in total. So I would say that once the automation that security tokens is bringing and alternative structures, it can happen from there. I think that we will be seeing more creativity and more linking of various types of tokenization. We've seen a lot of real estate tokenization. People are mixing NFT as separate tokenization streams. NFT is just a certain format of tokens, which enables additional use cases. And it brings innovation. It also popped up around 2016 and 17. I was involved in NFT shaping up of the market and believe this is amazing form of tokens. But let me compare it to you. Like if you talk about SWIFT is the payment transfer in the banks are using. If you would go into the system, old one, very old one. But if you would go into the system, you would be certain formats of SWIFT, for guarantees, for this, for that. And in that sense, NFT is one of the formats of tokenization, which could be used for certain types of business cases. While we will be seeing some more coming, and disrupting other parts of the market. So for me, tokenization is definite way ahead. However, we might be seeing it's not on and off switch. It's not something happening over the night. Blockchain as technology is around for a longer time. It's coming to this high level efficiency. We've seen that the last meltdown, for example, was proving that the blockchains out there are able to manage such huge volumes, which was not the case in 2017. It shows that, for example, from 2017 meltdown and until 2021, the blockchains obviously matured significantly in a tech sense. So that's why I believe that tokenization is definitely coming, because you need a strong infrastructure to go into creative financials.
I agree with you, Dusica. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you.
For the people that want to connect with you, where can they find you? What are you busy with? Anything that you want to share?
Oh, I'm doing a lot of interesting things. I'm also very active. Surprisingly, that fintech is my core expertise, and I work with a significant number of fintech companies. I started doing very specialized workshops and for the exit strategy, because as you know, through the M&A and catering to all the other transactions like VCs and private equities and even SPACs, we have noticed that the upcoming unicorns might need some kind of understanding what is the best strategy for their market. And basically that's what we are doing a lot. Also, we work a lot with the life science companies. I'm just now signing up with one very exciting German-based upcoming with female founders. Awesome. Really interesting thing under the wraps, with lots of money going after them, but they are now choosing the best options for them. So we will be seeing a lots of new players, and I personally will be sticking mostly to the thing that I understand, which is certain forms of fintechs and the life science.
And you're very active on LinkedIn.
Oh, yes, you can always find.
And I think that's the link that I will put in the comments. Thank you so much for
please
coming
do.
on again.
Thank you.
To our listeners, peace, love, and prosperity, and we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.